It's 10 o'clock, so I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. This is a regular Commissioners Court meeting, County of Starr, Monday, October 23rd. Let the record show that we do have quorum, everyone being present. If everyone would please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is minutes.
Judge, the minutes are in the package. And I left your packet there, the commissioner's CD, I left it at the old courthouse. I'll have Adrian mail that out to your office.
I also move you on to approve the minutes you presented.
Second motion.
Moved and second to approve. Discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is claims. Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir, Judge. There's a long list of claims this morning, and I would like to call the court's attention on page 23, the very last page. And this is the International Bridge Fund. There is a proposal to transfer $200,000 to the general fund because we got off of the ongoing purchase order system, so now we're having to do it month by month. We actually skipped the last meeting. We didn't make any transfer at the last meeting, so I'm requesting that $200,000 be transferred now for the payroll. And then the very last one, the $37,500, is our regular monthly distribution to the city of Roma. That situation is being investigated. We're going to recalculate the amount for the new year, and I'll report that at a later meeting. Other than that, there's another item that's going to come up later as a different agenda item, and that is the proposed transfer of $206,000 from the Los Alamitos Watershed Fund to the general fund. And actually, I'm asking the court to table that motion for the time being, pending further research. Since last week when I put that item on the agenda, more additional facts have come to light that call that whole process into question, so I'm asking for further time to continue my investigation on that.
Mr. Carter, these POs are the last year's budget, this one we have here.
Yes.
Okay. All the POs of last year have already been posted, or not yet?
Yes. I don't, just
Well, it
point
looks
out,
like it because there's a bunch of them, but I just want to make it.
I know, my staff has been working very hard to process the extremely high volume of POs that we had this month.
Yeah. And I understand that, but I just want to ask you, these are the last year POs.
Yes, these are last year's POs. Now,
Okay.
if you want to get a perspective on this, on page 6 is the grand total purchase orders outstanding on the general fund of $317,000. And you'll notice that the ending on the treasurer's report, you'll notice that the cash available is $153,000. So these POs are being approved subject to cash availability. And right now, there's no cash available.
Yeah, let me ask you one more question, Mr. Carter. This amount of this $317,000 that are posted here, is that over, is that, where you gave us that last report that we were over expenditure of $2.4 million over expenditure revenue? Is this included or this plus?
No,
That's a plus
that
here.
report did not include these POs.
So we're talking about $2.7 million over expenditure of revenue last year. based on this report?
Oh, and it's, yes, and it's gonna get worse. There's another wheelbarrow full
Okay, no problem, thank you very much.
Orders.
That's how, I just wanted to clarify.
that'll be on the next Commissioners Court agenda.
That answers my question.
Any other question? Okay, so you want us to approve as is?
With the exception of the
Table the-
$206,000
Okay.
from the Los
I those
Angeles.
move on.
Okay, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second motion.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a public audience by Mr. Smith and local business owners.
Did everybody get a copy of that? Good morning, members of the Bishop, Judge Meta, distinguished members of the commission. Well, we come to you this morning as a residents, business owners of Rio Grande City, in Starr County. We realized that in the duly scheduled meeting, you took action on our tax rates for our community. So realizing that that has happened, we come to you with some facts and to discuss with you, merely to convene discussion, okay, and for you to consider the things for our community and our businesses. Facts to consider, no reasons, because I know that I'm on the time limit. So facts to consider related to our local businesses are that businesses in South Texas, the Rio Grande Valley, and particularly Rio Grande City, has increased as reflected in our Texas Controller's Office sales tax reports, and of course in our news reports, news media. Local businesses contribute to the economy of Rio Grande City in many ways, such as sales tax payers, providing jobs for local residents, and many other contributing factors. Local small businesses have suffered for the last 2 years, and at this time have reached the lowest point level. Due to these struggling times, businesses are closing their doors in different areas of our community. And the fact related to the gas rate increase since November of 2016, businesses present today, and I will mention that we have the Texas Cafe, Taco Cafe, we have Chili's, and we have Country Store, and Taco Hut, and there are about 6 more that could not be here today. One would be La Venera, the bakery, and I'm thinking of Casa Dove, and I forget the others. Yes, Carlos is here. Yes, Carlos is available. So facts related to a gas rate increase since November 16. Our businesses present today at Resident Commission Court are seriously concerned with the drastically high increase. Some of us have managed to come and talk to you individually and see what you can do. And I personally, as a business owner, have taken action to check my equipment, my boilers, every single step, see that I don't have any leaks and stuff like that. And I even purchased extra equipment and hired a technician in pneumatics and in gas to come and check my store. Because I thought that I was really having a problem. But it went so high, and the gas rate has increased by 50% in some cases to an additional multiplier that we're at it, nearly double as compared to last year's rate. Now, we as concerned members of our business community are seeking your consideration and are really requesting your help in alleviating this serious problem. Recommendations that we've made are our recommendations based on consensus, but then again, we're open to suggestions. We're asking to decrease the present gas rate to 15% above last year's gas rate from 0 to 500 cubic feet and $1.60 for 501 cubic feet and above. Or decrease the present rate of 20% above the old gas rate from 0 to 600 cubic feet and 170 for the additional, above 601 cubic feet. We're asking, or we could decrease the present rate to 25%. Above the old gas rate from 0 to 600 cubic feet and $1.75 from 601 cubic feet and above. Now, of course, we welcome other recommendations. If you were to study our proposal, we would like for you to take some kind of action in helping us alleviate this burden. I myself have downsized, cut hours, done stuff that, and still are having problems trying to handle it. I represent common cleaners, and if you think about common cleaners, every business is different. Mine is considered a dry cleaner and laundry. The money-making part and the profits are in dry cleaning. We are a laundry community. Everybody wants their jeans, heavy scarves, and all that. Water, soap, all that is not recyclable. In dry cleaning, everything is recyclable. So there's the difference. We serve 80% laundry. This is why it's hard to run and operate a dry cleaners in Starr County, Oregon City. Because of that. You go to McAllen over, if I was in McAllen, I wouldn't worry about Bill. I wouldn't worry about Bill. I'll be tripling my growth rates. But I just want you to know that that is the situation. To start pressing one shirt in my cleaners, I need to run my boiler 1 hour before we even start. One shirt. So that's every day. So I appreciate that, and I'm sure that the restaurants to start their, their operations, getting the beans, ready and cooked fully, and all that takes hours. And I understand their situation. Every business has their own unique situation, and I'm not here to say this is wrong. I'm saying that we're trying to boil a frog by dumping it in boiling water rather than dumping it in warm water and gradually increasing the heat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Remember? Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I think there's no action, Judge, But I think that for the purpose of these people, I think we should get together with the gas manager who's run this thing. I knew we did an increase, Your Honor, last time for all the residents, and I think it'd be very interesting to visit with Mr. Alvarez, who's the one that's running and see what, talk to him about their concern. I don't know about these 600 PFIs or whatever, even numbers. But anyway, we can take a look at it, and you can guarantee that if we can help you out, there's no doubt that the Commissioner's Court is willing to work with you all to come up with a solution, or let's compromise with some type of a solution to help the business owners that are apparently like you all suffering from this crisis.
Certainly appreciate that, sir.
But I guarantee you, the Commissioner's Court will try to work something out, but you have to be realistic that we
Yes,
need to,
That's all we
But
ask.
we can try to come up with a solution to try to help you guys.
And that's exactly why
It's
we
only
want.
me, man. I'm not talking to the rest of the commission, but I'm pretty sure they're very knowledgeable of what's going on, and maybe we can come up with a solution, try to help the business.
I understand, and Regency is a unique community too, so we understand that. So And we can talk about comparing to other cities and all that, but the industry is different.
So it's
I
totally
would
different,
say-
you know, from other cities. We're talking about Rio Grande City.
Right.
I mean, we have got people that come and compare about, you know,
Yes.
how much they
No.
earn in McAllen.
We don't wanna do that. We don't wanna do that.
You need to understand that.
What we did, Mr. Smith, when we did the increase, we compared with the city of Roma. And for some reason, the gas had been overlooked for about 20 years or better. We had never increased the rates of our gas department in over 20 years. So what we did, we considered Roma, which is also very similar to Rio Grande, both in Starr County. And we looked at their rates and we looked at our rates, and then we upped it somewhere in the middle. Roma's still higher, but again, as Commissioner Garza stated, you know, this doesn't mean that we cannot work on something to where maybe it would alleviate some, because after all, we do want to be business friendly,
Yes.
and we do want to keep our businesses open.
Thank
We're
you
in
so
no way
much.
wants to close any business.
I understand.
So we'll work with you, and Mr. Alvarez, Chimita should be here. over
And,
there. He's very knowledgeable on this thing, and I don't know about multipliers and all that, but I'm sure he does. And we can have a little workshop to where we can work and maybe come to some,
Yes, sir. Well,
Some
appreciate that.
agreement.
I wouldn't want to even compare to Roma, to be honest, let me just say this one, because every city is different, and maybe we should suggest to Roma to drop theirs, maybe they can get more business to stay longer, they can start, and maybe they might be losing some because of that too, you know. Maybe, I would recommend, you know, but, because I know comment, I studied comment all over there, so Roma, it is right. So,
well,
appreciate it.
again, you
Thanks
know,
so
we
much.
cannot reach any decision because this is an audience, so,
Right,
you know,
we
we can't
understand.
discuss it, but we just wanted to give us the,
We understand the open forum, law.
And we need to verify numbers, and since we don't, at least I don't understand what, you know, this number's here.
Yes.
We know that you're complaining about the high price, you know, I agree with that, you know. It's like, but that's what we need to look into, and see what we can do, or what did we do wrong, or whatever, would increase too much, whatever, but we will have a workshop and try to help you guys
Thank you.
in every way we can. At least I am.
Thank you so much.
okay. Next item, I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Can I interrupt? Good morning,
Good morning.
Judge, Commissioners. I know that Mr. Smith had a presentation, but I have some discrepancies on the bill that I'd like to point it out. As far as that goes, I mean, looking at my meter readings and looking at what the CCFs are, there is a discrepancy on each bill of about 30-some units, 20, 30 units in CCFs. Okay, crunching the numbers, I also noticed that sales tax was being charged. Now, I know that there are some counties in the state of Texas that are excluded from paying taxes on those utilities. Okay, so those are discrepancies that we try to ask, and seems like nobody knew. Taxes are being charged, and there's no line item on the bill that says that those are sales tax, 8.25%. Now, I don't know if the county approved it or how it came about, but it's hidden, it's not in the bill. And those other discrepancies, you're looking at that situation, and I just crunched a couple of bills as far as numbers were concerned. And so that's quite a difference. When you're looking at 35 units above, and I don't know how it starts with the CCFs and so on and so forth. But I don't know if we look into the idea of the taxes. All I know is that right now, I have over 20 tons of air conditioning and electricity, and I'm paying more on gas than I am on electricity. At the end of the day, we shut down the valve, and we don't have any pilots on, we don't have anything on. And I know that when it comes to that, electricity, a lot of the electric plants use natural gas to operate, to sell their electricity. And right now, I'm paying more for gas than I am for electricity. And that kind of sends a red flag as far as that goes. And most every business goes into the gas, with the gas situation, is because it's always been lower than what electricity costs. And that's the key to our business. In other words, it's getting to the point that, I mean, business is down anywhere, everywhere. And then utilities go up, and we're just not making it.
We can certainly look at it, Mr. Angada. The county doesn't impose sales tax. That might be the city, but again, I don't know.
No, it 8.25, the city is 1 point something that the city,
Okay, so
but there's some municipalities on, I don't know where the tax is coming from,
I
but
don't either, but we can work on that.
but that's, I figured out what the gas consumption was and what the bill was, and it comes out to 8.25%.
Is that itemized?
It's not on as a sales tax.
So one question, it sounds kind of weird, but how did you calculate it that there was a sales tax in
On
there?
the bill, it gives you the amount you pay for gas,
Okay.
okay? Now, you look at the amount you pay for gas and the amount you're being charged, and it's exactly 8.25.
Well, I think those things have to be brought up, and I think have you shared that concern with Mr. Alvarez over there?
With what?
Our manager?
No, we talked about it, Maria and I were doing some numbers crunching. I didn't go to a meeting that they had, and so I wasn't involved in putting the stuff together. But I felt that I needed to look at those discrepancies on the bill that we came up with. I mean, I don't know what the base amount is, how much we're allowed on the base. And then maybe the base is being added instead of subtracted from the actual bill. But if you look at it, I don't have a bill with me, but if you have a bill there, I can show you that the meter readings are not the same as what you're being charged.
Again, a public audience, we cannot.
Right, I agree with you. And I'm not saying, I mean, it's just to maybe form a committee or something and look, I know that it's, I mean, that you have to make some profit, you have to make some expenses. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, it's a business. You have to make money as far as that goes to survive. And
We can have a workshop whenever it's convenient for you all. Give us a couple of dates, and then I'll pass it on to the commissioners and see when it's most convenient for everyone. And we can meet here wherever you want.
okay, we don't want the county to lose money, but
We won't.
but the fact is that we need some kind of assistance as when it comes to this. It's getting to the point that it's hard to survive in our economy without having to pay astronomical, bills like this. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, this is an action item, and this is to approve the vendors list. Mr. Carter?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, Judge, and Commissioners, the vendors list is all in order. Includes the 5 new vendors.
Moved and second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 7 is just house cleaning, and this is to authorize the treasurer to transfer monies from countywide to road and bridge. Is there a motion? Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8 is an action item, and this is a resolution to support and participate in the COG and the South Texas Development Council, and confirming the appointment of representative from County of Starr. Who was our representative?
Roy Peña, and was it? No, it was you.
Oh, me?
It was Commissioner Peña and Commissioner Sines.
Science.
You
Okay.
want to continue? I do so move that we appoint the members, and of course, Mr. Raul Peña the third included.
Okay.
Second motion,
Moved in second.
that's to include Commissioner Sines, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's also to approve the resolution, right?
Right.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9 is an action item, and this is to accept reimbursement check from STDC to the transfer station in the amount of $42,534.
Your Honor and Commissioners, this is to inform all of you that we're happy to have received the reimbursement for the tire recycling facility that was constructed at the transfer station. And they hand-delivered our check last week for the amount of $42,534.
I do so move to approve it.
Moved in second. Discussion?
Where does this money go to, Judge?
It's a reimbursement,
Reimbursement.
Commissioner? Yes.
They gotta go back to the general fund. We paid from the general fund.
Yeah, where we got paid from? They got paid from the general fund? Okay, go back to general. Okay.
I'm sorry.
It got paid from transfer station budget.
So go back to transfer
Yes.
station.
So go back to transportation. Okay. Where we got paid, that's where it goes back. Item 10 is an action item, and this
We
to
didn't
approve.
vote on it?
I didn't vote on it?
No.
I did have a motion.
Yeah, it was,
Okay, all in favor, please, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10 is an action item, and this to approve the 2017-18 GLO budget. You see that?
That is correct. It's for the 2017-2018 budget for the DLO.
Okay.
I move that we approve budget.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 11 is an action item, and this is approving report, version of the month of October through April. Ms. Salinas? What revisions are those?
It's just Your Honor, good morning, Commissioners. I'm submitting a summary of the report revision I've made for the months of October 2016 through April of 2017. These revisions have been made because during this month, we did not deduct the refunds due to the taxpayers from the final remittance given to the taxing unit. These refunds are created when the adjustments are done after the taxpayers has paid their taxes. So if you have any questions about this revision, feel free to come to my office and I'll share the information with you.
Any questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Commissioner.
Item 12 is an action item, and this is to transfer oversight of the gas system from countywide department to Commissioner Precinct 1, Commissioner Alvarez.
Your Honor, I feel that we should table this item due to the necessities of our community members with it, so we can get into order with our gas, so we can meet their needs, then we can continue with this line item.
Second
It's
motion.
okay?
Okay. I have a motion and a second to table, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13 is an action item, and this is to approve new library hours for Precinct 2 from 9 in the morning to 6 in the evening, effective November 1st.
Yes, I'm changing the hours, Your Honor, based on meeting the needs of my young constituents, being that they come out of school at 4 o'clock. I want to give them an extra hour so they can do some homework or whatever, you know. So I make a motion, Your Honor.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 14 is an action item to approve budget for Law Library Fund for fiscal year 17-18.
I think we should, whoever submitted this one, we should,
Who is that law library?
I think the district attorney submitted this one, it should be in the packet.
Who submitted it?
Mr. Escobar.
He submitted a budget and, I move that we approve the library fund.
I second, yeah.
Moved in second to approve, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 15 is to take action on final subdivision, Menchaca subdivision, phase 2. Mr. Garcia?
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
I
morning.
would like to recommend a final approval for Menchaca subdivision. It's under Commissioner Alvarez's precinct. It's on the north side of the President Ramirez. I'm sorry, Commissioner Perez. Precinct.
You have gone
No,
to.
no, I think it's,
This is Menchaca phase 2. Para Plan Ramirez, it's final approval.
If everything over there, make a motion.
Yes, it's four lots, almost an acre.
motion to approve, yeah.
Second motion.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
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 Opposed? Let the record show that I did not participate or vote on that item. Item 16 is an action item, and this is to authorize the International Bridge to transfer money from to general. Mr. Carter, this is the one you were talking about?
Is the international bridge?
Yeah.
Yes,
Gonna
this
move
is
money
our,
from the
this will
international.
be our regular monthly transfer.
But we will have money left over for operations and everything's fine, right?
Yes,
Mr. Carter? Motion to approve, yeah.
Second.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 17, this is the one that you said we couldn't do it this time, to table.
I'm ready to move the table, yes.
Okay, second, Your Honor.
I have a motion, a second to table, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 18 is to authorize our auditor to initiate payments of the regular monthly installments due from the International Bridge to City of Roma. Is there a motion to that?
I second, Your Honor.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 19 is to approve payroll expenditures from October 27, 2017.
I move that we
Judge,
approve.
excuse me, please, on this item, the time cards are not turned in until today, so we actually don't have the numbers to report. I'd really like to ask Commissioners Court to recess until Wednesday, or Wednesday afternoon.
We cannot recess for more than 24 hours.
You can't?
We can, for Wednesday, we can call an emergency meeting,
Have to call an emergency meeting for Wednesday or Thursday.
okay? Or you tell us
Allow
when.
us to get the numbers to report.
When do you want the emergency meeting?
They do a regular meeting on Thursday.
We have a regular meeting?
Oh, we do.
Thursday
Can you verify But to verify
Mr. Carter, we can have a meeting Thursday if we want, a regular meeting. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Thursday
Yes, sir.
afternoon?
Yes, sir,
That way
Thursday.
we can post before lunch and have it
Yes, sir, let's do that, please.
Thursday, yeah.
So we table.
Yeah, I guess we need a motion to table.
Motion to table, Your Honor.
Second motion.
Moved in second, and right now, let's call a meeting for Thursday, 1:30. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 20, action item, and this is to approve 15 streetlights in the rural areas of precinct 3.
Yes, Your Honor, this is a much needed lighting that we need all around the precinct 3. I do so move.
I second,
Moved and second, discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Okay.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 21 is an action item on building maintenance repairs due to budget cuts. Ms. Guerra.
Your Honor and Commissioners, the reason I bring this before you, it's an issue or a concern that needs to be addressed to all of you, and this is in reference to the building maintenance department budget. You have the budget before you, and as you can see, my only concern with the cuts that were made are in the expenses area. We haven't even gone through a whole month in this budget year, but we've had some extensive repairs, and we're just beginning the fiscal year. Right now, the repairs have to do with our air conditioning, some plumbing, and leaks that we have in the other building as well. The expenses have escalated to more than, and this is just air condition and plumbing and leaks, $8,307. We do not have in our budget anymore, in this new budget that was approved, to cover any of this type of expenses. I don't know what the Commissioners Court can do, being that the Commissioners Court has approved a new budget. I don't know if it was an oversight.
Only 8,000 were cut, no, total?
Not really, it's $2,000. The budget 2016 was at 79,000, and the one that was approved today was 77,000.
No, 30,000.
So it's only a $2,000 cut, man.
It was a Senate, okay, it says, did you see the budget?
Yes, ma'am, I got it right here. 2016 budget was $79,039.87. The budget that was approved is $77,116.87.
No, no,
No.
you're looking at the wrong one, Commissioner.
I'm looking at the bottom line.
From one year to another, it was
Okay.
$30,000 exactly.
$77,000 was for expenses, am I correct?
That's right.
And for this new, it's 56,580. It's a cut of 21,000 plus.
But what the proposed by the budget officer and the approved by Commissioner's Court is only $8,000 difference.
Well, we still need money to do the repairs.
Everybody needs money, Lena.
Yeah, the problem is, let me step in here for just a second. We had an air conditioner that went bad here, and it was a compressor, something like that, right?
There was a whole unit,
The
and then
whole
another
unit.
one went
Okay,
bad.
So we replaced that one, and we moved monies around to make ends meet. Then another one went bad at the end where Mr. Carter's at, and that one was 3,000 and some, and we don't have the money to fix that one. So, unless we can find the money, I cannot fix it.
That's right.
So,
What you got last year?
Judge, the projected total revenues are 100% allocated. There's no cushion, there's no margin. So there's no place to move money from without cutting some other department, some other budget.
well, I believe there's several of those also down the road that.
That I may I address the court? When the Commissioner's Court Annex was built in 2004, you underspent by 200 and some thousand. You have 207,000 to make major improvements to the courthouse or to the annex, but you would have to go out on bid, do the procurement, and do those major repairs that are necessary. This building on this end sometimes is very, very cold, and sometimes it's very, very hot.
Yeah, let me.
And there is money to do the major repairs to the building, such as those continuous leaks. And I just wanted to point that out, that there's money for that.
That's a good point, Fernando. However, these are not major repairs. You know, these are just maintenance repairs that happen every day. You know, a faucet goes bad, a commode doesn't work, you know, those sort of things. We cannot go out for bids or, you know, for something like that. This is where we need some money. Now, I don't know, Mr. Carter, if we could move some of those monies into maintenance, and use it as needs come up? Or do we, how, you know, I don't know how to do it.
The process to do that is that I would have to study the legal language in that bond indenture to determine if that's allowed to do that. And I'd probably have to consult with an attorney
Okay.
that's familiar with that bond issue.
Well, I just want the people to know that this is some of the problems that we're having. We cannot fix our maintenance problems because the budget doesn't allow it to. So if people start coming in here and bathrooms don't work, or the air conditioner, our employees, you know, they don't have air conditioning or whatever, it's not because we don't want to fix it, we just don't have it in the budget to fix.
What you proposed is, and what was approved, is only $8,000 difference.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you can get with Mr. Carter and come up with something, with a solution, instead of being negative and then this is
Well,
not gonna work.
well-
It's gonna have to work, one way or the other, that's the bottom line.
But how can it work? I mean,
I don't know.
a dollar has 100 pennies.
How do we do it in the precincts? We have to work.
Yeah, but in
We
the
don't have no
precinct-
more money.
In the precinct, you have money, you have cushions. We have none here. We have none. Now, before, the budget was such that if money was needed, we could move from one area to another, to make ends meet for an emergency, but right now, everyone's down to less than bare bone.
And the results of having a good, soft, comfortable cushion is this.
Well, again, that's a matter of opinion, Commissioner. I don't think it was needed. Mr. Carter?
Well, a possible solution for our current meeting is to table this item and give the treasurer and the department manager and I time to work together with you and the commissioners to see if we can find any other available funds that might be, might be used.
Mr. Carter, I'm pretty sure, like I said, it had to be fixed. We can't be working out without the repairs that are needed. But I'm pretty sure that without those monies that are up there are designated to do repair work on it, I don't see why it wouldn't be allowed to get some of those monies to do especially or designated to that repair that's needed, in my opinion. But like I say, you have to check the legal language on it. It was there for something. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to have a disaster and have it, and let it, everything pour down, and if it's more than that, what are we gonna do?
When you check into that, Mr. Carter, item 23 is also the same thing, and that's in the county judge's budget. As I mentioned at the previous meeting, there is absolutely no money for mileage, or for not mileage, but for fuel. The IT guys get fuel from there, they need to travel through the county to do repairs. In fact, their job is constantly traveling. We have no money. I travel also throughout. I have no money. Sometimes planning, they use some of that money. They don't have it. Whenever federal and state need it, or HR, they sometimes use it towards the end of the year. So, see, these are some of the things that are affecting our operation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't see, do we have any lawyers in here?
Jenny?
From the county? Jenny? Okay, it is my understanding that all departments by statute have to be funded to operate, to be operational. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so we're not funded to be operational. What can we do about that legally?
I'm not sure, I would have to look it up.
Okay, would you please?
Yes, Judge.
Because, you know, we, IT guys, I cannot function, we cannot repair, you know, I mean, it's just not.
But the recommendation that Mr. Carter said for these items is for us to table it, and for you and the treasurer and himself get together and find a solution for this.
We can try that. I certainly would try anything to get off center, but,
Okay, sir.
so is there a motion to table?
I move that we table and authorize Mr. Carter, the treasurer, and yourself to get together and find a solution for this.
Item, would that be item 21 and 23?
21 and 23.
I'll second that motion.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Lynn. Item 22 is an action item. Okay. is this-
25?
No, 22, is this the same thing? Same
No,
thing?
this is something else.
Judge,
I think she's there, no?
yeah, 22 is,
Yolanda?
is the county operational system in my office. I submitted, 2 payments,
No, Dennis.
September and October, and inadvertently, I guess, the line item, that was covering the operational system for my office, was reduced to where there's not enough money to make the continued payments. I did have a conversation with Mr. Carter earlier in the week, and I guess kind of the same thing. We need to kind of look
It's the
into
same
where.
situation. This is the county's obligation for the lease of a software, a computer program in the county clerk's office. And without that program, the county clerk's office can't operate.
Okay, so do we take the same approach, table it and say?
Yes, sir, please.
I do the move to table that now.
Second move.
Moved in second to table. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 24, 25, 26, 7, and 8 are budget amendments. Mr. Carter, they have
They go all the way through item 34.
34.
Yes.
well, yeah, but there's some in the middle that are not budget amendments.
Not-
So can we take 24 to 28? Are those in order?
Yes, sir, those are all in order, Judge. We reviewed them.
Second, Your Honor.
Moved in second to approve. Discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Sorry, I guess 29 was also included in that one, for item 29. Okay, item 30 is to approve proposed 911 budget for 2017-18. Ms. Goodwin? No, it says,
Your Honor and Commissioners, this is a proposed 911 maintenance budget. And I'd like for you all to go to the very last page. The first few pages are the scope of work and breakdowns. But at the very last sheet is the actual budget that 911 gives Starr County for personnel and operational duties. And I don't know if this has to be tabled also, but I would like for this budget to be I recommend it be approved. The total budget is 47,163.
Let me shed a little bit of light on it.
Mhm.
What this is that on the 911 budget, there were, the training was cut, some of the other stuff was cut. This is the money that Laredo, the COG, sends us. If we don't spend this money, at the end of the year, we need to send it back. It's not like it stays and goes to general fund or road and bridge or any other place. It goes back to Laredo, so those cuts that were made really are not very wise, because that money goes back to Laredo.
What is the total amount of the grant, or what we get?
47,163, is that?
And
Yes.
I don't have a budget here, but what was the total amount that you were proposing? I don't have a budget here.
I think it's right here.
It's right
Is it the budget? You have 59,870?
Yes, because we need to,
So that's $12,000 more just
yeah, because
than
we,
what the grant comes in, no?
yeah, let me explain. That's because we need to pay, 20% has to come from county funds. They match 80%. Is that correct?
Yes, they match 80% of personnel line item only. The rest, they reimburse 100%. I believe the other one is the street sign replacement, they reimburse 50%. But all other, like the travel and seminars and training, that's 100% reimbursable. So what we get at the end is the 47,163. And that's the reason that you see in item number 1, where it says personnel, she gets paid, I believe 35,522, but they only give us 33,415 because of the 80% that they reimburse us on.
So we're approving right now what the COG is giving us at
Yes.
this point in time.
Yes, sir.
The difference is that our pending is paid by the county.
Right, correct.
Yes, which is minimal, not.
Do you understand it, Mr. Villano?
Yes, I've met with Ms. Guerra to discuss this issue. The principle is the same as items 21, 22, and 23. You know, there's a difference between the total expenditures of the department and what will be reimbursed by the regional 911 system. And right now, that difference is not funded in the current budget. She's asking that difference be covered in the budget, and because there's no money available, I would recommend that this item be tabled and studied with items 21, 22, and 23.
I just move to table.
Second motion.
Moved and second to table.
Thank you.
Discussion? All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 31, an action item to approve proposed surcharge fund and archive fund budget for 2017-18.
Yes, Commissioner Judge, I submitted the budget to the auditor's office. It's also in the packet, and I believe, actually, I left it in front of you all this morning. These are for our discretionary funds. The last meeting, y'all had asked that we submit our budget. And actually, I received an email from Mr. Carter due to some of the budget cuts. I did pick up some of the people through these funds, and it is important that we get it approved because of payroll expenditures. So this is just to put it in officially as the approved budget for the archive and surcharge funds to my office.
These monies do exist, right, Mr.
These budgets are in order, they comply with,
Yes, and that was the indication of the budget cut, that he had money left, monies in this line items to use to come up with the payroll he needed, so.
I move we approve it.
Moved and second to approve, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Items 32, 33, 34 are budget amendments. Are they in order, Mr. Carter?
yes, sir, all of these items are in order.
Move to pass.
I move.
Moved and second to approve, discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Your Honor, may I interrupt? And this is just information for the commissioners and for you, Your Honor. While I was up here, I should have pointed out something, and since Mr. Carter's getting together with you and maybe other commissioners, the budget for the new budget for the gas department and the transfer station, as we were going over the budget, and I even told Dennis if he had noticed this, but as I understand, the whole budget for this new fiscal year was approved as a whole, am I correct?
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean?
The whole stack of the budget?
Yeah, the budget's approved, that's pretty much.
Okay, well, because I noticed something, that the gas department budget and the transfer station budget are shown in this actual budget as a proposed budget. It doesn't show it's approved at the end. Maybe it was a typo, but it was just coincidence that it was gas department and transfer station that does not show it approved.
It was maybe typographic.
It's only those two departments.
But it was approved by the court and signed and filed, so whatever the wording is irrelevant, it's already in file.
So then there'll be action for the bridge and so on and so forth.
They're on file.
So I just wanted to just,
Yeah, but we need to
Thank
correct
you.
it. We need to correct it. 'cause
whether
it
it's
is-
irrelevant
it
or
isn't,
not, yes,
yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
it.
I'm not an attorney, so, but
You're out of order, Mr. Pena. This is a discussion between us. Mr. Carter, can we do that? Correct it?
Yes, sir, as far as I can say, as far as I can tell, it was just a typographical
Yeah.
error in the way, in that page, those pages,
But
so I would just,
can we correct it, and then we have it at next Commissioners Court meeting and amend what's filed?
if there's.
Or Jenny, what do you think?
There would have to be put on the agenda that you want to change the wording on the document, and it
Well,
would
it's
just
not
be
the wording,
from,
it's in the wrong column, you know?
right, just to move
I
it.
move that we table, Your Honor.
It's,
There's not an action,
No, no, it's
it's
table,
not an action item for today.
No, I just wanted
Not a
to, make you all aware, because I don't want this to come back in the future and say, you didn't have a budget in the first place because it says proposed. This is just information, and I want it to reflect in the
We'll
meeting.
correct it
in the
for
minutes.
the next minute.
Okay.
Okay, item 35 is an action item, and this is renewal of Starr County tax abatement guidelines and criteria. Ms. Benavides?
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. We discussed a situation where the Starr County tax abatement guidelines and criteria that was, I guess, a formal record that had been approved early 2013. It did have a provision that it would be in place for 2 years, and then thereafter, if the Commissioners Court felt the need to have them be back in effect, we had to have action to renew those guidelines and criteria. So as of, I believe, February 2015, our guidelines were stale, and this required it to go back and renew them in order for them to be in place if we were looking to do tax abatement agreements moving forward. We went through the tax abatement guidelines and criteria as were on file and found a couple of minor things that needed to be adjusted. There was some conflicting numbers in terms of investment, and we know those are typographical because we could tell that that was the issue with those. We also had them reviewed by legal counsel, and they added some additional language that does not specifically make these any more difficult to move forward, but simply reinforces the position of the county when we're negotiating tax abatement agreements and allowing them to be stronger. And so we're not changing the requirements in terms of what the investment in it. It's been about $1 million, and that's kind of been our threshold since we started to offer tax abatements on more official grounds. And then also, we similarly have kept the cost associated with submitting an application or requesting an application for abatement at the same amount. That's probably something we're going to come back to the board and have them
So this
look
pretty
at.
much remains the same?
They remain the same with the exception, Judge, of some numbers that were in the first section where we're talking about the investment being $1 million, and then we added some items on the economic qualification and the eligible facilities in order to reinforce those and ensure that they were. And in the same token, we also made some adjustments to the items on the denial of abatement to allow the county a little bit more latitude when these requests are being made. And then finally, we cleaned up some language in terms of what constituted a reinvestment zone. We also went through an agreement in terms of the basis of any action resulting from abatements moving forward and how those would be handled. And finally, we also cleaned up an area on the recapture section which sets forth the mechanism for allowing the county to move forward with any action on their part in terms of, so there were some changes, but in theory and content, the requirements, we did not move them simply because we knew that this was what the court had previously considered, and we wanted that to remain in place.
Is there a
Motion to approve.
Second.
moved and second discussion? All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 36, is also an action item, and this is on the tax abatement proposal for Bordas Renewable Energies.
Sir, this particular item will be a presentation. I believe Mr. Dan King from Bordas would like to address the court for a general presentation regarding their proposed project in the area. Any other discussion related to this project, obviously, as we've done in the past, would have to occur in executive session.
Morning.
Good morning, Judge Vera, Commissioners. Thank you so much for providing us with some time on this morning's agenda. As Rose mentioned, my name is Dan King. I manage a company called Bordas Renewable Energy, and we're developing a number of projects, both have historically and are developing right now a number of renewable energy projects here in South Texas. And what we wanted to do was just touch on 3 of them that we believe could impact Starr County and hopefully benefit Starr County. So first, just as a little background on who we are, who Bordas is on page 2. We're sort of a unique company. Bordas Renewable Energy has been working in this area of South Texas since 2008. So we always call it non-coastal South Texas, but really it's a handful of counties here. As you see, we sort of got started in Webb, but Webb, Jim Hogg, Zapata, hopefully Starr, Duval, that's sort of our sweet spot. And I say we're unique, we're different than a lot of companies. I know the Commissioners Court has had some experience with wind projects, primarily with Duke. Duke is a national company. There are a number of developers like that develop all over the place. In the U.S., even all over the world, but we exclusively work here in South Texas. So we have sort of a laser-like attention to getting these projects completed and figuring out unique ways to make them happen, because it's all that we do. We've been one of the only successful developers to get projects done in this area of South Texas over the 10 years that we've been here. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but we still are the only ones who have done projects in Webb, Jim Hogg, and Zapata County. One of the ways we've been able to do that is we have had the same development team from the beginning. So there is sort of this consistency with who all you will be talking to, who we've, landowners we've worked with in the past, communities that we've worked with in the past. And that sort of trust that we've been able to engender and build up, as long as our strong regional knowledge from having worked down here for so long, is really what we think is one of the benefits of the county considering working with us. On the next page, on page 3, in terms of our track record, I'll be brief on this one, go through all of these, but our first project was up in Webb County, the Bruni area of eastern Webb County. We called that Cedro Hill. That was built at the end of 2010. All the power was sold to the city of San Antonio with that project. 2 years later, we built an adjacent Whitetail Wind Energy project with all the power being sold to the city of Austin. It was 92 megawatts. And then at the end of 2015, we had 2 projects getting constructed simultaneously. Our Sendero Wind Energy project, it was our first project in Jim Hogg. All the power sold to the city of Brownsville from that project. And then the first phase of our Javelina Wind project, which is in Webb County, with all the power there, or most of the power, being sold to Dow Chemical, which was kind of a big deal. I'll just mention that one. That is still the largest purchase from an industrial company of wind energy in the country. So there was a lot of articles written on that. If you search Dow and Bordis, you'll see things in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal about that transaction. It's sort of a big deal. Javelina was expanded with Javelina 2. We call that Project Albercas at the end of last year, another 200 megawatts. And then we hope that Javelina 3 will get built next year, which is going to be Webb County, but also our first turbines in Duval County, if you kind of picture that. So not counting Torrecias, which isn't built yet. If you look at the 5 projects that are built, it's almost 800 megawatts. It's enough power to serve 250,000 South Texas homes. And it's completely contiguous along, we call it the Bordis Escarpment, the geographic feature of elevation. And so we look at it as one big project built in a number of phases, and it's one of the top 5 largest projects, not only in the country but in the world. So we've really have been able to get a lot done. And again, I think hopefully what I can say to have you guys take away from my discussion this morning is, we're very focused. We know how to do business in South Texas. We know that trust, a handshake, all that kind of stuff is very, very important. Otherwise, we couldn't have been able to do all the projects that we've been able to do with a plan to do more, which is what I want to talk about now. So I'll go through quickly the 3 projects that we believe would impact Starr County. On page 5 is sort of our near-term project. We call that Project Las Lomas Wind Energy. At a minimum, it's a 200 megawatt project, and depending on how things play out, it could be a 400 or 500 megawatt project. And you can see that's somewhere in the $240 to $600 million capital investment. That'll be split over Zapata and Starr County. We sort of straddle the county line up near Falcon Heights and Lopania on the Zapata County side. About 50,000 acres under lease currently that we would utilize for that project, and we're trying to get the project built by the end of next year is sort of the hope. We've been measuring wind and signing leases there for over 3 years, actually getting close to 4 years, and the project's very advanced, as you might imagine, and just waiting to finalize our interconnection agreement with AEP to connect to the transmission line that run along Highway 83. On page 6, the second project that I wanted to mention to you is the Starr Solar Energy Project. We may come up with a better name for that, but right now we just call it the Starr Solar Energy Project. 500 to 100 megawatts. It'll be one of our first solar projects. We have a solar project that we're working on in Webb County, one up near San Ignacio in Zapata County, and this would be the third. And it'd be right around, probably on 2,000 acres, plus or minus, near Falcon Heights, near the intersection of Highway 83 and Ranch Road 2098. target commercial operation date of 2019, late 2019, early 2020 for that project. We're very excited about that. Solar is, you guys may have had people come in and talk about already, it's sort of where wind was maybe 7, 8 years ago. So it's still, very expensive, but the costs are coming down. And, we think as wind has kind of matured, that solar is going to be the next technology where there'll be a number of projects happening in South Texas.
And this is where it's gonna be built, or are you projecting to build this solar for the area?
Yeah, so this is right around,
Right?
yeah, exactly. Kind of, actually it's surrounding that, we call it the Falcon SS switching station, substation that's right along the highway there. So it's sort of surrounding that, and that would be the interconnection point. And then the last project I wanted to mention is sort of our, it's along the lines of what I just described for Howland. Big project built out in phases. It is one of the largest projects that will be built in South Texas. We call that Vaquero Wind Energy. Because it's so big, 400 to 600 megawatts, it could even be 800 megawatts. It is a little further out in time, so it's probably a late 2020 commercial operation date. But it really encompasses most of the northern part of Starr County that abuts Jim Hogg County, for lack of a better. So it's sort of the west, all the way over to Santa Elena and San Isidro. If that gives you an idea.
So the wind.
The wind is good. It's decent. I mean, it's not as good as other things that have been built in Starr County, as other things we've built in Webb, but the technology has improved, which makes that become more feasible for us. It is part of a much larger project that I wanted to mention. So we're sort of northern part of Jim Hogg County near Rendado. We extend over to Zapata. We have land based behind the Zapata, airport and high school, all the way down to this area, and even local in Brooks County. So this is a tremendous area, about 150,000 acres under lease right now. So we're really excited about that project. If you look at Vaquero and Las Lomas together, just from the wind side, it's there's over 200,000 acres leased. It's about 300 square miles, which should give you an idea. It's about the same size as New York City in terms of what we have leased and what we're planning for this project size. So we're excited about coming to talk to you, beginning to have discussions about working with Starr County. Because in terms of why to consider tax abatement on the last page here, tax abatement is, as you've heard before, is an important part of the economics of these projects, for better or worse. And we would hope that a tax abatement agreement would enable Starr County being able to participate in these projects with us. Creation of high-paying, stable jobs. As you know, these things unfortunately are not huge job creators, but the jobs that they do create are very good jobs with benefits, relatively high-paying. You have wind already in Starr County, but it continues to diversify the Starr County economy and tax base. Local spending during construction for both the wind and solar projects, as well as being able to pay, landowner royalty payments, which hopefully will have a secondary effect of people spending more money in the county. And then the last thing I mentioned is we've had a lot of these discussions internally. Every one of our projects doesn't necessarily mean it'll be this way in the future. We've worked with General Electric, GE wind turbines, so US made GE wind turbines. And we're getting close to the tipping point with them, where they have so many turbines in this area. We are able to do more projects. Are there some feeder industries, maintenance, facilities, or things like that, satellite offices that could maybe come to this area, maybe to Starr County. We think we're getting close to that point. So I'll answer any questions. I actually don't, I'm available for, and would appreciate the opportunity to talk further with you all. I don't know, how does the executive session work? Is it just you guys? Yeah. So there's other information I could provide, but I would say that the bottom line is we feel like we're a good partner for the county. We've been here for almost a decade in this area and signing up landowners in Starr County for 3 to 4 years. So we're committed to this area. We're not going anywhere. We just, throw that out that's something to focus on for the county, is just consider, these are long-term partnerships, so
And we, at least I do appreciate, we need the project, we need the revenues of the county, but the best part about it, that you're here being honest, And that promise in the whole world, and it doesn't happen, like Duke did. But we do appreciate that, because at least you're being honest and upfront with the Commissioner's Court.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Do we need to do 39 just before y'all take action?
Yeah.
Where we're gonna discuss it, no? We're going back into second session, no?
Falta item
Your
37.
Honor, there is one last item, item 37, and that is a discussion and possible action on tax abatement agreement for Rio Bravo Wind Power LLC. Quite frankly, at this point, we don't have anything to present to the court. These items need to be taken in executive session, so we really can't take any
So
action
you
on.
want no action on 30?
Well, no, what we would like to do is
Well,
go
we
into
table
executive
it
session.
First,
Yeah,
and then that can
correct.
take care of it.
Okay, it is 11:15, and pursuant to section 551.074, 551.087, and 551.071, we will go into executive session to discuss order of salaries, possible deliberation regarding economic development negotiations, and for the purpose to consult with an attorney on cost number DC 11351. So we will go into executive session, we'll call you all when we're ready. It's 12:10 and we're back in open session. First of all, let's go back to item 23. I inadvertently tabled it, it was a budget amendment. Ms. Carter, is that in order? 23?
Yes, sir.
It's a budget amendment. Is
Yes,
it in
sir.
order? Is it in order?
Move to pass.
Second, Your Honor.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Going back to item 36, this is an action item, and this is with Orders Renewable Energy. And I guess we'll entertain a motion to go ahead and authorize Ms. Benavides to continue negotiating on the abatement proposal with Bordes.
We have to take action.
I'm sorry?
It needs an action, it's an action item.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow Ms. Rose Benavides to continue negotiations.
Second the motion.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And item 37 is an action item, and this is to, I guess, approve the abatement agreement as presented by legal counsel and Ms. Benavides to us.
Motion to approve the tax abatement agreement with, for Rio Bravo Wind Power LLC.
Second the motion.
Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Then the other thing we discussed in executive session was order of salaries. Is there a motion to approve the order of
So moved.
salaries? Second. Moved in second, discussion. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the last item that we discussed was informational, and this was on cost number, consulting with attorney on cost number DC 11351. So I guess no actions needed on that one. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor, please, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.